All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Loudmouth MMA podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Steele. Today, we have a returning guest, Mr. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Hello, Stephen.
How you doing, my friend? Glad to be on with you.
I'm doing great. It's weird to call you Stephen. I kind of just feel like I want to call you Wonderboy, but I also feel like that's a little weird to just call someone by their nickname.
You know what? Everybody calls me Wonderboy. My dad calls me WB. You know, everybody
Really?
calls me Wonderboy. Yeah, oh yeah. So it doesn't matter. I'm used to it, man.
All right. Well, I'm not going to call you WB, but I'll at least call you. I'm just going to call you Stephen. That's what I'm going to go with. I like it. I like Stephen. I don't know a lot of Steves.
Cool. That's new for me. You know, most everybody calls me Wonderboy. I like the fact that you call me Stephen right now.
Okay. Well, great. There we go. You know what? Like, I don't have anybody, because it's weird. Stephen being, probably one of the most popular names outside of like John. Like, I don't have anybody that I'm friends with named Stephen. Nobody. Steves, no Stevens. I got one right here. There it is. So today, one of the things we got to talk about. So for those of you who are MMA fans and disc golf fans, congratulations, because this episode's going to be for you, at least for the beginning here. So in the beginning, I wanted to talk to you about disc golf. I saw on your page. So we talked right before. Boy, I don't know if it was before your first fight or the second fight with Woodley. I don't remember. It might have been before the first one. Doesn't matter. But we had talked. I did not know that you played. Had I known that you played, we would have talked about this the first time around. So I didn't get a chance to, so we're going to talk about it now. First of all, how long have you played disc golf?
Man, I've been playing disc golf probably since my early teens.
Wow.
Playing with my dad. It was actually a new thing in Simpsonville. We just got a brand new course literally walking distance from our gym. And my dad had joined the team back then. Then the discs were like saucers, man. They were huge compared to the discs, the discs that we use now. But yeah, I've been playing for a long time, just kind of off and on. Here recently, just been playing a whole lot more, and it's good because it's very therapeutic. I think very relaxing. It's a very competitive sport, but it's not taxing on your body. You know what I mean? But it's just fun to try and strategize a little bit and compete with your family and friends. And I haven't joined the team. I think it would be really cool to be able to do that, or do a tournament. I haven't done a tournament. My dad used to do those back in the day, but man, I've been playing for a long time, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and you are technically a part of a team now, because I will say I talked to Chris Brophy, who is with Team Innova, and they had obviously sent you a care package of a whole bunch of Innova products. And one of the things that I don't know if they've quite announced it yet, but one of the things, you are now officially a part of the celebrity team, right there with Andrew Zimmern, the famous cook, the famous chef. You are officially part of Team Innova, their celebrity league. So congratulations, man. That's pretty cool. There it is.
Thanks, man. No, dude, are you kidding me? I can't stop smiling right now. The fact that, I'm part of the team.
There it
I'm
is.
Part of the team.
And I had, you also got a congratulations, from Paul Macbeth, one of the top disc golfers in the world, also is on Team Innova. He wanted to invite you, down to Virginia, right? That's down. Is it down? That's up, actually, right? Up from Virginia.
That's up. Yeah,
a little up.
Yeah,
up to Virginia, which isn't too far, to obviously, do some practice rounds. And, dude, playing with Paul Macbeth, it doesn't get much better than that, as if you're trying to learn to get better and stuff. I mean, he is, again, anyone who knows anything about disc golf is well aware of who Paul Macbeth is.
Oh yeah, the guy, he is the man when it comes to disc golf. Like, world champion. We've actually talked to him back and forth on social media and through text, trying to get a game going. He was supposed to come down to South Carolina. He was down in South Carolina to play a game, but I had media obligations I had to do, so I wasn't able to make it. But I would love to go to Virginia and play, a few rounds with Paul Macbeth, man. And if you don't follow that guy on Instagram, you gotta follow him, man. Super popular guy, really cool, really nice guy too.
Yeah, one of my favorite guys. I don't know if he's on Innova or if he's on Discmania, but it's Simon Lizotte. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he is what I really like about him. Yeah, so he's I don't know what country he's from. I think he's he might be Finnish. I'm not sure. But anyway, what I really like about him, because I kind of think it relates to MMA a little bit, and this is how we'll kind of transition to MMA. One of the things that he does is when he walks up to the tee, you legitimately have no idea what he is going to do. You have no idea. He's the kind of guy who he will throw a 50-foot shot. Everybody in front of him will throw a putter, right? He will throw a tomahawk with a mid-range. You have no idea what he's doing. And he's not doing it as a joke. It's just that's the way that he does stuff. He is a kind of a trick shot guy, and that's where he feels the most comfortable. So instead of just throwing straight at something, he feels way more comfortable sending something 200 feet into the air to crash down to the ground. And what I've always found interesting about him is in an interview, they were asking him, like, how, because he also has a lot of power. He holds a distance record on flat land and some other stuff. And they asked him, where do you get your power from? And I always love this answer. He says, I don't know, and I don't really care. And I just thought that was such an interesting answer. And they also asking, like, why do you do these kind of weird things? And he goes, again, I don't really know. It's just, that's what I feel the most comfortable doing. So I'm not going to question it. I'm not going to try to figure out what it is, why it works, because I don't care. It works. So it is what it is. I love that answer. That's such a unique, and I wonder if there's any connection to MMA of just kind of like, I don't really know where it's coming from, but I feel comfortable doing it. I'm not going to overanalyze it.
You know what? Yeah, to be honest with you, I was asked that question a lot when I first came into the kickboxing scene with my karate style. You know, everybody was like, hey, man, why are you moving like this? You're not a traditional kickboxing stylist. And how are you doing this? And at the time, I like you said, probably I was feeling the same way. I don't know how I was doing it. I really don't care. I didn't care. And it wasn't until I started doing MMA and actually trying to teach the style, to different people, going up to Montreal, training with George St. Pierre, training with Rashad Evans, Nate Marquardt, these MMA champions, who trying to break down the style because they were asking me. It wasn't until then I actually had to start, to think about why I was doing it. But yeah, man, it definitely relates over to it. Same thing with the power. You get a lot of guys with some, heavy hands, big shots. You get guys who like to throw spin hook kicks, spin wheel kicks, and they just do what they do, and that's what makes the sport so exciting, because you have all these different styles, and like you said, it's the same way of at disc golf. I love to watch guys and how they throw it. I will literally go on a YouTube binge looking up different styles of throws and crazy trick shots that people have made, and I'll sit there for hours just watching it. You know what I mean? It's so like amazing how many different styles and how many different ways people can throw the disc. I'm
going to text you a video of Simon when he was at this would have been probably 2 years ago, but he was in the I don't know if it wasn't Worlds, it might have been the state or like the United States Championship. So there's Worlds and then there's like the USDGC. I'm going to send you a video of when he's on a hole and he throws what's called a skamahawk, which is basically it's like a mix between the two like forefinger and the backhand, like tomahawk throws. It's like a mix between the two. It's a trick shot is all it is. It's literally just a trick shot. You throw a really flippy disc, but instead of throwing it with your forefingers, you throw it backhanded, and it flips over, does like a tomahawk motion, hits on the top, and skids on the top of the disc, and it's supposed to like kind of glide on the grass. But you throw it really, really high, and it flattens out. He threw that on a hole and got a birdie at the United States Disc Golf Championship. Like just a straight trick shot. Nobody has ever thrown that other than a trick shot. And he threw it on a hole.
It's called a skamahawk?
It's called a skamahawk, I believe, is what it's called. And it's just a weird little throw that, again, it's just purely a trick shot. It's just something you do when you're messing around. He just did it during the most important, tournament of the year, It's such a weird
and he birdied it. That's crazy.
And birdied it. Man. I love it. It's fantastic. He's a fun guy to watch.
Definitely send me that video, man.
Yes.
I want to check it out.
Yes, I would get that one over to you. And I want to give a shout out to the guys over in the Disc Golf Answer Man group too. I basically posted, hey, if any of you guys are a fan of MMA, I'm going to be talking to Stephen Thompson, who is also a disc golfer. Dude, huge response. And I've always felt this way. I've always felt that there is such a crossover between disc golf and MMA because it's two just like really niche sports, right? They're both very niche, and I think niche sports tend to attract people who are fans of other niche sports. So yeah, I mean, people people responded really favorably. There was a lot more fans than even I had expected.
Me too. I did. I think it was before my first Tyron Woodley fight. UFC came down and did like insider, UFC leading up to the fight. And one episode was when we were playing disc golf with the family, man. And it was literally like an entire day of this guy filming me playing disc golf, just hanging out with the family. And it was kind of like talking about what I do on the off time when I'm not training. And that's what I was doing. And the response I got from that, especially on social media, was huge.
Right.
I was like, I had no idea that many people, played, or heard of disc golf or even played it, Now, anytime I do any traveling, I look to see if there's any disc golf, fields out there and trying to hit them up. I always take a few discs with me.
Man.
So I thought it was pretty cool that there's a lot of MMA fans that actually play disc golf. So it was awesome.
Well, if you ever get a chance to fight again in Japan, or even just travel to Japan, remember that there is a rule. And I don't even know if you know this. There is a rule in Japan. You cannot throw any disc above 150 grams. So if you play in Japan, they're banned. They're banned in the entire country. So
why is that?
I think it has to do with, I think it's just one of those, it reminds me a little bit of like the 12-6 rule in MMA, right? Where you can't throw the elbows 12-6. And I like how I explain that to you as if you're unaware of it. Just in case you didn't know, Steven, you can't do that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I was going to throw that in my next fight.
Yeah, ask John Jones. You can't do it. But I think it's one of those kind of archaic things where it's just people didn't quite understand. Like the 12-6, it was based off of the breaking the boards with your elbow. So commissions were just like, oh, well, that's too dangerous then. And we're in reality, it's not any more dangerous. I mean, than kneeing someone in the face. I mean, it's the same stuff. But it's because they saw those videos, they were, I don't know. It's just one of those weird things. Where I think in Japan, again, they, for whatever reason, got spooked that if the discs were too heavy, that it would hurt someone if they got hit by it. So they made it to where you can only throw. So they have a tournament every year in Japan where all the top players go out and they all have to change their bags out and only throw stuff that's 150 and under. So it's kind of cool. And I got a buddy who's a big disc golfer who grew up here but actually lives in Japan now. So he still plays over there, and he had to, like I said, he has to change his whole bag until everything is under 150. Even his putters, everything, it's all under 150 now. So it's kind of cool. It's kind of a cool little thing.
Yeah. So these guys, especially these top level guys, golf players.
Yes.
They'll spend. It's cool because it's probably like a fight. They'll practice. If they got that tournament in Japan, they'll spend weeks just throwing those lighter discs.
Yep.
Just preparing for that tournament, and just like any other sport, just like MMA, like I would get ready for a fight. They would probably take it to that level, that extreme,
Well, and stuff changes so much. I mean, so like Paul's, I think, main driver is probably like a destroyer, right? And a destroyer is going to be a really overstable disc that you can torque really, really hard, and it's not going to sail on you, right? Well, if that same disc is 150 grams, which is basically 25 grams less than what the max weight is, that torque level is going to dramatically shift, where if you now throw it the same torque, it's going to sail on you. So it's you have to totally kind of retrain the way that you're throwing the same discs, because the weight difference really does make a difference. I mean, a lot. I mean, 25 grams doesn't sound like that much, but from someone who's thrown both, it's a huge difference.
Yeah, and it's something you can't really know until you actually you played disc golf, and how much that actually plays into the distance and accuracy and everything, man, everything.
Well, we should definitely talk about your upcoming fight. I'm going to be also releasing this episode tomorrow, which is Friday the 27th, so we can talk a little bit about the fight in Brazil, because there is an important fight on that card that could relate to you, so I want to talk about it a little bit. I just want to give a shout out to a couple guys that are in that disc golf group. Sean Bilger, Austin Sharp, because I've asked some of the questions that they had brought up in there, so I just want to give a little bit of credit. Adam Sanford, Sean Adams, and Greg Atello, and Richard Toulong. So thank you guys for participating, asking some questions. Most everybody just said hello, so those were some guys that asked questions, so I wanted to give them a shout out. All right, let's talk about your fight. obviously you're fighting Jorge Masvidal at UFC 217, probably one of the best cards I think since like 205, as far as like the way that it looks on paper. I really love the way this card looks. 205 was the one that was you were on 205, wasn't that the one in New York?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
sure
you've been on two stacked cards in a row.
In New York City.
Yeah, you've been on two
plan,
really
man.
stacked
You know,
cards.
you don't need big cards.
Yeah. This
I don't
is.
know how that happens. I always seem to get on those stacked cards, but you know, this card is huge. I mean, you got 3 title shots. You got, of course, George St. Pierre coming back, not only fighting at 170, he's moving up a weight class, fighting Bisping at 185.
Yep.
I'm the second card fight on the main card. So it's pretty cool to be able to headline, or fight before those guys and get that main card started.
Yeah, the fact that you are, and this speaks volumes about you, but it also speaks volumes about how good this card is. You are fighting Jorge Masvidal, and it's the second fight on the pay-per-view. I mean, holy cow. Like, just think, like, in order for you to be, like, imagine then what's above that. Like, that would be a main card, or that would be the main event on most of these UFC cards, and it's the second fight on the pay-per-view. Just incredible.
Yeah.
Like, what a card, man. I'm really excited.
There's a lot of really good fighters on this, man. Cody Garbrandt facing TJ Dillashaw, which is going to be a barn burner. And it's pretty cool because, a lot of people are talking about mine and George's fight, Jorge's fight, even over a lot of the main card, the title shots. So it kind of fuels me and fires me up to really get out there and put on a show November 4th. George is a very tough opponent. He's got good striking. He's very well-rounded. And a lot of people don't know that because he doesn't showcase a lot. But I've seen some of his previous fights at 155, and he's very well-rounded, man, very tricky. So, I'm going to have my hands full. But you know what? That's what you go through, man. You're at the top of the game. There's always that younger guy coming up to take your spot. But it ain't going to happen, man. It ain't going to happen.
Yeah. Well, and we'll get into the style of the fight, too, because I'm interested in that, obviously, him being a boxer. And it's funny, we had actually, in the last episode we did, we talked a little bit about Jorge Masvidal because we were talking about the backyard guys, like Kimbo, and how Jorge Masvidal was one of those guys. So it's cool that you're getting in with him because, his MMA career is separate from that stuff. But I just remember watching him growing up as a backyard fighter, which I just think is such a cool concept that he was able to transition from that and be successful here. So giving credit where credit is due. He's a very, very good fighter. And this is awesome. This isn't me BSing, and I know that I'm not even alone in this, and I'm also not trying to talk crap because that's not really my style. But I would much rather watch this fight than the Bisping St. Pierre fight. I mean, there's a reason why a lot of people were talking about this over that, because I think a lot of people aren't as interested in that fight as maybe the UFC thought. I mean, listen, I'm going to watch it, and it's going to be great, but I would say on the main card, that's probably the fight that I'm kind of the least looking forward to. I enjoy the spectacle of it, but as far as like what it really means for the UFC and what it really means for stuff moving forward, I'm not terribly interested. I'm much more interested in Joanna Rose. I absolutely love that fight. Super jacked. I love Cody TJ. That's probably my favorite fight on the card. So yeah, I love it. I love it.
Well, you were like, just made my day saying that, bro. I mean, it is cool, but that right there, that's, just hearing the fire and the excitement that you're having about our fight. That's what, man, that's why I've trained so hard for this camp. And I've been out for almost 8 months with a knee injury.
Yeah. How's that doing?
It's doing a lot better, man. I mean, can't even tell that I had surgery. It's crazy because I've had 4 knee surgeries on my left, 2 on my right. And they're feeling phenomenal.
Jeez.
I don't know what it is. I think it's because I'm just staying active. I'm always moving, but they feel great. And it took me a while to actually really kick a bag hard or hit somebody hard with that leg because of my MCL. So that's what took so long. And that's how the fight actually started, was on social media. George had just lost to Damian Maia, and he was looking for another fight, and he was like, hey, Wonderboy, where you at? I was like, dude, I wanted to fight a top 5 guy anyway.
Yeah.
I was like, let's make this thing happen. And finally the UFC jumped on board and made it happen. And, man, it's just going to be an exciting fight. Jorge Masvidal is the type of guy that comes forward. He's always game. That's why they call him game bread. Always game. Always a tough guy. Comes forward and is not afraid to throw down. Which makes this fight really exciting to me.
Yeah, and as far as the knees are concerned, do you have any idea? Well, I guess there's two things. One, obviously a big thing with knee injuries, a lot of it's mental. A lot of it's, the knee has fixed itself, right? The knee has repaired itself, but it's mentally then trusting that knee moving forward. So, I mean, do you think you're all the way there at this point of trusting the fact that, hey, everything's healed up, this is why you had the surgery, you're all good, you just have to trust it?
Yeah, definitely. This was the surgery that I had was nothing compared to my, my knee injury on my left knee. I tore every ligament, every CL. They took 40% of my meniscus out. That was like 10 years ago.
Jeez.
So this was just very easy compared, especially the healing, compared to that one. I was out for 3 years after that knee injury, and that's what took so long was the mental, trying to get past that mental block saying, hey, it was always there, and I always found myself favoring that leg. Even it was like, a year after, 2 years after, I was still favoring it.
Yeah.
That's what took so long was the mental. I'm not ready, it's not ready. My dad's like, Steven, it's ready, let's go. And I was almost got to the point where I kind of had to make myself go out there and do it. And after I did it, I was like, you know what, I'm fine. My knee feels great. So it is, man. That is crazy how your mind can do some crazy stuff, can prevent you from, going out there for that fight or, running that route playing football. And you got to have that mental game strong.
Adrian Peterson came back from an ACL tear in less than a year. I want to say it was like 9 or 10 months or something. Came back from an ACL tear and set his personal record, almost breaking Ed Dickerson's record of most yards in a season. So, listen, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, there's reasons why we have the surgeries. There's reason, you know what I mean? They repair themselves. It just comes down to then trusting it moving forward. Because, if he can do that, if he could come off that type of an injury and then do something that is so... I would say a running back uses their legs even more than you do, right? Like, if you think everything is predicated on using your legs, literally. And he was able to set all of his personal bests, and then, like I said, coming razor close to breaking that record. I mean, this was 2 or 3 years ago. But coming off an ACL tear. So, it's a lot of it's mental, and I've talked to a lot of guys coming off injuries, and they all kind of say the same thing. And a lot of it's mental and being able to get back in there. And I'm sure you'll be quite all right. The other question I was going to ask you, too, is I'm sure you heard Dana come out and say that the winner of the RDA Robbie Lawler fight was going to be getting the next title shot. Do you think that he's just saying that just to say it? How do you feel about that? I mean, does that really matter to you at this point? Obviously, you have a big fight to focus on, and that's what you're focusing on. But I'm just wondering kind of where are you at with that?
Yeah, Dana White, he does say a lot of things that doesn't, happen.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think he might be just trying to light a fire under Tyron's butt. Not really sure if, Tyron has a hurt shoulder. Not really sure if he's had surgery. I don't know what was going on with it, but he said he's going to be out for a while. So that could be just a thing, hey, get ready, because, you don't need to be sitting out for this long or whatever if you're not that injured. But, Dana White says a lot of things. For me, I would love to fight Robbie Lawler. I mean, we were both ranked number one for pretty much all summer long. And I was number one, then he was number one. I was number two, then he was number two. Now I'm ranked number two. He's number one. I think Robbie Lawler's gonna. I think he's too big for RDA, to be honest with you. Very strong opponent, very tough striker, good takedown defense. Some of the best wrestlers in the division. And here's this guy coming up from the 155 division. He's been doing okay. I mean, he's coming off with wins, but his first fight, where I was actually sitting ringside when he fought Safferty, it was a very, very ugly fight for both of them. And they both didn't look that well. And Neil Magny, I think RDA ended up beating him his last fight. Yeah. But I don't know, man. I think Robbie Lawler's going to bring it out. I would love to fight him. depending on how long Tyron's out, they're throwing out there those interim titles and stuff, and you never know, man. You never know. So hopefully, Tyron isn't that injured where he can get back in there and do his thing. But I definitely wouldn't want to fight one of those guys after this one, either RDA or Lawler, doesn't matter.
Yeah. Another guy who could be there, even if it's not this next fight, but it's a guy who, if you remain where you are, I think you're going to probably fight eventually here. It's Colby Covington. He fights this Saturday. I think if he beats Damian Maia, if he's able to get past him, I think that's a guy you could be seeing. Are you going to be watching the fights this weekend and getting a chance to watch them two fight?
Oh, definitely, man. Anybody in the top 5 division, I'm keeping a close eye on. Anybody in the top 10, because you got some monsters coming up. And Colby Covington in there is a ridiculous wrestler. He's a grinder. He's a tough opponent, man. And, he's definitely one I'm watching out for. He's a good buddy of Jorge Masvidal as well, Jorge.
Yep.
I think they're training partners together. So, man, keeping a close eye on that guy.
Yep, I think I would too. I've been a big Colby Covington fan leading up to this point, so I'm excited to watch him fight. I actually have him beating Damian Maia personally, so we'll see. A lot of people disagree with me, but I have him winning here. So, I definitely think that's a guy that you might be seeing in the future.
Yeah, man. Yeah, definitely. I mean, any one of those guys, because this is why the 170 division is so exciting, man. There's not really a set number one contender. There's some really tough guys coming up in the division. You got Carlos Condit coming back, fighting up pretty soon. So, man, it's just kind of up in the air right now, and which is, to me, makes the 170 the best.
170 is stacked. 170 is absolutely stacked right now. I used to think that 155 was the most stacked division. I think I've moved now to 170. 170 is just absolutely stacked right now.
Oh, yeah, man. You got beasts in the 170 division. You got a lot of people moving from 155 to 170.
Yep.
So, man, it's getting bigger and bigger.
Yep. And I think you're going to have guys start moving from 145 to 55, 35 to 4. I think people are really starting to catch on to the weight cutting thing. And I think people are going to start moving up and down. And some people are not going to be successful, right? Some people I think are going to be more successful moving up. You mentioned RDA obviously coming up from 155 to 170. I think he's been kind of hand-picked some opponents. I think Safadine was kind of a perfect guy for him there, to get like a little low-ranked. And then Neil Magny is a guy who has a lot of size on him, which is going to make people think that RDA can hang with people who are bigger than him. But in reality, Neil Magny has never been very good about using his range and using his size against his opponent. So, I think that was just the perfect opponent to be matched up against. You're going to run into a brick wall when you get to Robbie Lawler as far as size and stuff is concerned. So, we'll see. I haven't researched the fight fully yet, but my initial thoughts are that Robbie Lawler will pretty handily win that fight. And then, there's a very real possibility that you would then fight Robbie Lawler, which I don't know. I don't know which fight I like more, that one or this one. I don't know. I love them both.
Man, yeah, man. I consider myself I'm 34. I'm a young 34. I got plenty of fight left in me, man. I came in the game, the MMA game, fairly late in my career, my fight career, which is why I think I'm still feeling great. A lot of these guys have been fighting since they're 18 years old. I mean, Lawler's been fighting forever, man. I remember watching that guy. I'm a huge fan of him, too, watching him at Strikeforce, just murking dudes. And, a lot of these guys are just taking so much punishment, man. Because MMA, training for it, get out there in the octagon, taking that kind of punishment. And Robbie Lawler's last, 5 fights have been just barn burners, man.
Yeah.
Fight with Rory Donald, Carlos Condit. Of course, his 2 fights with Johnny Hendricks before that were just 5 in a round wars, But the guy is still tough. I'm a young 34-year-old. I'm going to fight as long as I can, as long as my body will let me, man.
Yeah. Do you have any? Have you ever thought about going back into kickboxing? Have you given that stuff thought at all?
Really, not at all, to be honest with you. Not at all. I told myself after my fight career, when I come back, I'm going to be fully in, all my energy, all my effort into MMA.
Yeah.
And getting ready for that. I haven't actually thought about going back and doing any kickboxing, to be honest with you. Okay,
well, that's fine. It's something you probably shouldn't be thinking about right now anyway, but But it's there. I'll let you know if you go into kickboxing at some point in the future. I'll be watching you. So don't you?
Thanks,
you'll have one viewer over there. But dude, thank you so much for sitting down with me and chatting. It's been a blast. Team Innova, Team Celebrity Innova, Mr. Steven Thompson.
Oh yeah, Team Innova, let's go, baby! I'm part of the team now. I love it, man.
All right. Well, we will talk again soon. If there's anybody you want to shout out or anything else you want to say, the floor is yours.
You know what? I just want to I want to thank you for having me out here. My management, talking with you, obviously, my management team Paradigm, and if you guys want to follow me on social media, it's Wonderboy MMA on Instagram and Twitter. Steven Wonderboy Thompson on Facebook. So I appreciate you having me on, my friend.
You're very welcome. And right now, for whatever reason, I was not following you on Twitter. So I have now officially followed you on Twitter in about right now. Boom, you just got followed. There we go.
Heck yeah, man. I appreciate it. Get that follow back. Trust me, I'll get you.
Awesome. Appreciate it. We'll talk again soon.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye.
Bye.